Electricast.
Last week on Ghost Hampton. Over drinks, Flo continues trying to understand Lyle, but he and Gertie the barmaid have words. Soon the owner throws them both out on the street. They walk to Lyle's house. Flo insists Lyle is hiding something major. Lyle's house is totally toilet papered. Georgie screeches up. She demands Lyle stop it all, and Flo gets it. Lyle is scared for Georgie's life.
Interior, Chantal's bedroom, evening. While Lyle Hall and Flo Hendricks grappled with varmints, bartenders, and Georgie Hall, Berto Duran was grappling with Chantale Benoit. Chantal arrived from Haiti, a tall 18-year-old hoping to break into modeling. She became instead the most desirable and experienced working girl in the Hampton-based ring of sex workers and drug traffickers. Berto is new to actually running a sex and drugs ring. He recently replaced his corpulent uncle, Sabado, who's on an extended family trip to Colombia, so it's said. His departure left Berto to fill the gap, and fill his nose, and in a wild relationship with Chantal, who he'd lusted after while working as his uncle's gopher. Chantal, now in her 30s, wants Berto, handsome and 27, to finally make her a legitimate Hampton's wife and homeowner. No more working girl. Berto has agreed. First, he needs to make a ton of money at his core business. Exiting the shower, Berto enters Chantal's well-appointed bedroom, wrapped in her pink bath towel. She's dressed very nicely for an evening out, not for work. Standing, Chantal's heels make her taller than barefoot Berto.
Going out?
You think?
Chantal comes close and, with her index finger, pushes Berto down to a sitting position on her bed.
Let's talk.
Chantal's makeup is also not for work. She just looks plain gorgeous. Big green eyes set in a caramel complexion under dramatic eyebrows. Her glossy lips are given to pouting. Chantal's trademark hairdo is in place, a chaotic collection of curls in a brassy rust color with intriguing dark roots meant to recall Tina Turner. Then there's the short, but not too short, skirt.
You know I want you to succeed, Berto.
Yeah, of course.
She holds up a shining gold amulet on a chain.
Thank you for collecting this from Sabado. It's mine.
With her free hand, Chantal draws the outline of a fresh wound in Berto's cheek with a fingernail. A knife wound.
Where is Sabado now?
He's in the swamp, behind the Big Duck.
The Big Duck is a dairy stand on the way north to Riverhead.
Will he stay in the swamp?
His Escalade will keep him there.
Chantal bends to Berto's neck, and, her mouth so close to his wounded cheek, he feels her exhale. Clasps the chain shut. She smells intoxicating. He sees cleavage. She stands back and centers the gold amulet on his clavicle. Smaller than a man's thumb knuckle, the amulet is ugly, with its 7 eyes and wide, leering mouth.
Do you know what this does?
It's your charm.
Berto, it imparts power to the wearer. Sabado wore it. Now I want you to have its power.
With a strange penetrating look in her eye, Chantal touches the knife wound on Berto's cheek, and he flinches.
You understand, I no longer work for him. And I don't work for you, Berto.
Berto nods understanding, and Chantal pushes him back with the same fingertip down flat onto her bed. He's on his back, bare feet still planted on the floor, looking up at her.
You know what I want?
A big house.
A house in the Hamptons, worthy of me. A successful husband with an enviable career. And children.
Chantal positions her legs so they hug Berto's knee and places her hands on her hips. His heart is racing.
Can you give me those simple things? I've given you something extraordinary.
Berto, seeming stressed, nods assent.
How will you do that?
Make lots of money.
When?
Starting tomorrow.
Chantal's lips pout, Her eyes narrow. Berto corrects himself.
Starting tonight. I'm just worried.
Worry is for weak men.
It's that I'm being watched. Not even by a policeman, by a bitch cop.
That's why I gave you the doll. It has powers. They can't keep watching you if they keep getting sick, very sick. They'll run out of cops.
Berto nods. The voodoo doll Chantal gave him. This talk is ranging far from what he was hoping for. But now Chantal sucks her teeth and looks over Berto's prone body. She reaches down to his abdomen and runs a long fingernail polished a metallic green down below his navel. Berto closes his eyes. Then they jerk open as Chantal digs her nail into tender flesh. In one motion, she hooks the bath towel at his waist and yanks it open. Berto gasps.
I see you were paying attention.
With that, she turns and heads out of the house. Berto's heartbeat calms. He hears the screen door slam and exhales. Exterior, Lyle's porch, continuous. The porch is lit by a lantern Lyle never thinks to turn off. He can make out the soles of two muddy workmanlike boots on the porch floor. Oddly, one is jittering spasmodically. Lyle doesn't know how to react at first.
What is he doing?
Nothing. He's dead. It may be rigor mortis.
Right. Dead. But I don't get the wiggling.
Flo, help me up to the porch, please. I'm not good with stairs.
Reluctant at first, Flo helps Lyle negotiate the 4 wooden stair steps. He has one hand on the railing and Flo steadying him at his side. Once up top, they both get a good look. And a heart-stopping shock. A huge possum is standing on the body. Flo screams. The animal looks up at them and hisses threateningly.
Scat! Scat, you thing!
I don't think harsh language will work.
Maybe he's still alive.
Lyle grabs an umbrella leaning by his front door as a weapon. It flares open on its own, and although he's unable to make it close, Lyle brandishes it at the animal, cursing loudly.
Get the fuck out of here, you fat piece of shit!
The possum finds this confusing. It backs off the man's body. With another snarling hiss at the 2 humans, it turns and slinks off the porch between the railing posts. Lyle lets the umbrella fall and Flo breathes a bit easier.
Maybe harsh language does work. Who is this person?
Was. Glenn Stanley.
One of those old campers?
Yeah, right on my lawn. He brewed good coffee.
What was he doing here?
Trespassing. But he was nice about it. Hey, there's an envelope. See it? Crumpled in his hand.
Yes, I see it.
Lyle is finally overcome with exhaustion. His legs can take no more. He turns and plops on the swinging porch couch, and it groans under him.
Flo, get the envelope, please. I can't.
Flo is hesitant.
Glenn won't bite. The envelope may be important.
Flo stoops quickly and plucks the envelope with index finger and thumb from Glenn's dead hand. She steps away from the body and hands it to Lyle. It's addressed to Mr. Lyle Hall.
We need to call the authorities.
I'm texting Georgie now. She's better than 911.
Look at his pant leg.
The kindly old man's pants leg is ripped open and flesh has been gnawed.
Horrible. Our furry friend dug in. That thing must be the same big fat one that threatened us earlier in the bar.
Flo is not listening. She's backing slowly away from Glenn Stanley's body towards where Lyle sits. He cannot see why at first.
Flo?
Then Lyle hears the hiss. It's more insistent this time. He looks past Flo and sure enough, the possum is back and it's pissed. Lyle also notices its mouth. There's disgusting white foam in the corners.
Shit, Flo. The thing has rabies. Gotta get away from it. I have house keys somewhere. Give me the umbrella.
Flo is scared speechless. She grabs the umbrella and struggles to collapse it. Lyle stands up from the porch glider. Flo closes the umbrella and gets it into Lyle's hand just as the possum flings itself at her. The primitive animal makes a sickening gnawing sound. Flo rotates to Lyle, grunts pathetically and grasps his shoulders. They collapse together on the glider, and the glider's rusty springs give way. Flo, Lyle, and the glider hit the porch floor hard. The possum now has them down. Its snout open wide, it makes a run at Lyle up onto the grounded glider. It's aiming high for his throat. Lyle holds Flo protectively with one arm and, brandishing the umbrella with the other, stabs at the possum. He misses. The horrid creature backs away, but only to gain speed, and launches itself again at Lyle. Its jaws, bristling with spiky teeth, are open wide. It's drooling. As it closes in on Lyle, he gives it one last stab with the umbrella. The end tip of the umbrella, the finial, is brass and pointy. It jabs directly into the possum's mouth at close quarters. Its beady black eyes go wide, and it makes a high, excruciated squeal. It pulls back from the two humans, then turns tail, that wormy, hairless tail, and dives off the porch into the darkness. Lyle props himself up on one elbow, his other arm still around Flo. Tossing the umbrella to the floor, it pops open on its own again. Flo is very quiet.
Flo, how you doing? Okay?
Flo doesn't stir. Lyle fears she's in serious trouble. He looks down at her leg and sees a nasty bleeding gash in her calf.
Talk to me, Flo. This is why I shouldn't have guests.
She's unresponsive. Lyle gets a terrible sinking feeling.
Flo, can you hear me? The animal is gone. I stabbed it. It had rabies, but it's gone. And Georgie has help on the way.
On cue, the toilet paper tree branches light up with cop car red and blue. 2 cars stop and 2 cops get out and head for the porch. Lyle tries another hug and has a terrible realization. Flo's heart is not beating. But Flo has one last breath in her. Lyle can hear her faint, simple whisper, and it shatters him.
I love you, Lyle.
Mr. Hall! Mr. Hall, what happened here?
She's dead. Stroke, I think.
The 2 cops heave Flo's lifeless form off Lyle and lay her on the porch floor. They pump her chest frantically, and the young cop blows big lungfuls of air into her mouth. Lyle sits himself up on his ruined glider and stares.
EMS is on the way. And him?
Glenn Stanley. He was a camper here. Already dead when we arrived.
Looks it.
This giant possum with rabies must have attacked him. It was gnawing on his leg when we got here.
The 2 cops look over at Glenn's body, then at each other, then resume administering CPR to Flo.
Then it attacked my friend Flo. We both fell backwards on the glider.
I see.
Then I stabbed it, then it ran off.
You stabbed it?
With that.
The EMS ambulance comes roaring up to Lyle's house, stops short, and 2 techs, gear in hand, hustle up to join the unusual group on the porch. Lyle, in his heart, can barely process what just happened. Flo was fast becoming his friend, albeit paranormal friend. Flo wanted more than a friendship. Lyle somehow was unsurprised at that. Poor girl. No accounting for taste. These 2 deaths are tragic, but now they change everything. Big police investigation, more demand for media access to Lyle, inquests, maybe lawsuits. Lyle's exhausted mind reels. He's sitting on the broken-down porch glider. He cannot sleep in this house. He will not return to the Memory Motel. The EMTs place Flo on their gurney. Another ambulance arrives for Glenn Stanley's body. More cops are pulling up. What next? Mose Allen? Lyle passes out on the glider. His phone's ringer is off, so he's undisturbed by repeated incoming calls. They from young women. Georgie, Silk, Georgie, Silk, Georgie. Interior, Berto's limo office, same time. Young Berto is pacing around, obsessed with the unmarked cop car parked on the scruffy, undeveloped side of the street under a scrub oak. His South Fork limo service, his in a supposed caretaker arrangement, serves as a cover for drug running and transporting women in wigs and hot pants to parties and lonely rich guys. During normal business hours, Berto's drivers pick up and drop off mostly Latina women who clean homes and mind children. The fares are low to keep the customers coming. There are daytime men who drive the fares. A man performs occasional maintenance on the limos in the car park. And there are men who drive drugs. Two of them, one with a shaved head, the cops dubbed him Mr. Clean, and Trini Lopez, a dead ringer for his namesake of little respect for Berto. They call him Bonita and suspect he performed favors for the bisexual Sabado. Berto cannot afford to lose experienced drivers, not now. So he's opted for appealing to their machismo. He bought a Glock pistol. Recently, he got an AR-15 style rifle as a display of masculinity. It's in his office, and they know it. But now that blonde bitch is sitting out there. She's not even interested. Berto can see her working her iPad in a cop car. Tonight's different, however. When she pulled up to her usual spot under the tree, Chantal's voodoo doll was waiting, dangling from a branch over her windshield. Berto hopes the ugly doll will give her a scare, or worse. Exterior South Fork limo service, continuous. The garage door of the car park swings open. Georgie, across the road, douses her iPad and observes. A limo starts up noisily. The cars are not in the best of repair. Now Trini Lopez guns it and the black limo jerks out onto the funky roadbed. Georgie is watching as it roars past her parked car, already speeding with Mr. Clean offering an erect middle finger from the passenger seat. Georgie records the license plate and the broken tail light, a good opportunity for a chat. Interior, Berto's limo office, same time. Berto observes the men's little display with mixed feelings. He got them to put on a show, but he's unsatisfied. She got out and screwed with a voodoo doll. It pricked her finger, he could tell. But now she's back on her iPad, undisturbed. He decides to introduce himself. First, a few more bumps of cocaine. Exterior, South Fork limo service, Georgie's car. After the men blew past her, Georgie noticed the ragged doll on her windshield. She tried to bat the thing away with her wipers. Annoyed to see it's attached to a fishing line, she got out and tried to cut the thing free with her penknife. No luck. She only succeeded in pricking her fingertip on something sharp inside the doll. Back in her car, she decides to read the latest, and she hopes the last report on her father's televised exploits. Then Big Frank calls her via her iPad video phone.
They just blew past me. Trini Lopez driving, Mr. Clean giving me the finger.
Shocking.
I called in the plates. The broken taillight should be helpful.
You know, I apprehended some of the TV people out behind Old Vic.
Apprehended?
I explained that trespassing is bad, even for TV people.
Dad wasn't...
Nah, no Lyle. No chubby lady either. I did get to chat with Elvira and her two production guys.
Think my dad swore this stuff off?
I don't know, but I saw what attracted him to the gig.
I drove out to him and yelled at him before my shift.
Nice.
He had the chubby lady with him. You know his house is completely covered in toilet paper?
'Tis the season.
My ancestral home, spoiled by all this.
It's supposed to rain. Know what he was doing with her? Flo Hendricks?
Hold on.
Georgie stares out her window.
Well, I'll be. Young Scarface is out of his office and approaching on foot.
Armed?
Can't tell. I'll call you back.
Georgie decides to get out and meet Scarface head on. Walking up to her, he's shorter, 5'7" or 8. He's wearing a tailored black suit and nice shoes. Too nice for a late-night limo job. Unless he's a driver. He seems fidgety and artificially energetic.
Ma'am, can I help you?
Hi, it's me, Flo. Remember me from Ghost Hampton, the podcast? I was secretly in love with Lyle Hall. Well, now I'm dead and loving it. But let's talk about you. If you loved listening to Ghost Hampton, you can now spend the summer in the Hamptons. The original episodes are back, and now new episodes will be dropping every Friday. I may drop in too, just to make Lyle feel guilty. Ghost Hampton, the podcast, is now streaming everywhere.
Electric